Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands, and welcome to this SP Patrons video today that I'm doing for Ting as part of their custom monthly music review. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen by the EGOIST titled Fallen. So we're going to listen through this track from start till finish and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go, let's do it. Incredibly intense off the bat with these head voice vocals and the really heavy guitar on the left side actually. Oh, pianos and dancing around. Nice. It's hella progressive sounding with these kicks in the groove there. It's really kind of tripping over itself a little bit, you know. Kind of sounds like the kind of, you know, ending theme for like a TV anime. It's kind of dope. Kind of sadistic and twisted with those synths. Contrast between that and the sweetness of the vocals. I think they've got an electric kit there. It's got a lot of power behind it. I like the roundness of the samples that they're using and how they managed to meld that in with the octave chords and the guitar parts. Yeah, but the percussion is frenetic. While I'm enjoying the vocals, the percussion for me is a highlight. It's one time those drums are second in. Oh, there's some interesting vocal harmonies and melodies there. There's just this ungodly punchiness to those kicks and stuff like that, you know. It's wonderful. And then going back to that minor theme there with the pianos there, a little bit more softness and sweetness despite the intensity of the overall vibe of the track. It's really well done. There is dynamic range to this, which I wasn't necessarily expecting. Oh, warmer tones. You can hear the subtle little sequences there, trying to pick up the pace a little bit, despite the fact that things have slowed down with the overall kind of groove of that rhythm of the individual instruments, or the collective instrumental parts. And the vocal performance, I mean, I'm liking the vibrato that she's putting in there. You know, the harmonies sound pretty. It's like she's deliberately trying to pull back to kind of contrast against the ferocity of the accompaniment. Dynamically, she's quite, you know, constant. It could just be the breathiness of her voice, but it's a hell of a tune, dude. I love the bop of it. If I wasn't reviewing, I'd be nodding my head, but I'm trying to concentrate. Halftime. Music production in 2020s are intense, man. Honestly, it's ridiculous what people are capable of nowadays with their, you know, the digital audio workstations and all the different synthesizers and guitar parts and effects you have nowadays. And the sound design you have, the capabilities with that, with, you know, 3D audio and everything like that. It's wonderful. It's great to hear musicians make the most of the technical possibilities. Because sound design is so important nowadays. It's the next level kind of stuff, you know. Some tapping on that guitar solo. Very. There's like soloing there that you wouldn't put past like death metal or something like that, or technical. It's wild. They've got these sampled sort of kicks. Is it because I mean, quote unquote, is it metal? quote unquote, I don't know what genre this is. It's like the best elements of like, you know, metal and rock and EDM. I don't really think it matters what genre it is, to be fair. You know, key change, right. It's almost at the cusp of being too busy for me personally. I think that the drum parts are great, but there's a continued insistence on them trying to fight the vocals to be the center focal point of attention. I have a lot of respect for what's been done from a compositional performative perspective, but it's a weird situation where the vocals are kind of taken second stage, you know? Or that could also be because I don't understand the vocals that are being sung. I also realized that sometimes I have people that come in and they're like, man, I wish that you didn't pause the video every 10 to 15 seconds. And it's like, you kind of got to do that if you're reviewing it, because you're kind of legally not allowed to just let the song play. You got to actually point stuff out and talk about it. You're not legally just allowed to play music in full on YouTube. It's not fair use. You've got to analyze it and break it down in its individual components. I apologize if that's frustrating, but to be fair, you can literally just go listen to it on YouTube. It's right on their, you know, YouTube page, you know. These videos serve two different functions. I like the kind of craziness and chaotic nature of the guitar riffs. They use like those pinches and the wing, kind of like alarm tone of the synth dictates to me that we've got a situation which is especially sort of like unusual and unsettling. We have also got lyrics, by the way, kindly provided by Ting, so thank you for that. But I had a great song with this time. Great time with this song. So it was released in 2014. That doesn't surprise me. EDM and the whole metal movement was pretty big back then, so I'm not surprised that this came out at that point. This kind of specific type of music. I would have been more surprised if it was something from nowadays. There's a lot of the bands from that part of the world. They love their jazzy infusions. It's just extensions everywhere, you know, but that's fine. And we have lyrics. Awesome. All is calm, all is bright, whispers the angel not long before falling to the ground. I then gently devour you whole. Oh my goodness. This is hella intense, dude. It's got a twisted sort of gothic vibe to it, you know. Catch a glimpse of brilliant red eternity, a burst into song right next to me. I mean, like, I was immune to all sound, so I raised the sound of my breathing. Upon the sight of your teary eyes, come on now and give me a kiss. Even when the scent of blood left your body. I don't know what this track is about, man. Yeah, I don't know. Is this person like having a mental break or something like that? They talk about blood and someone taking them back and hollow and the scent of blood. So is this like about vampirism or something like that? Is the blood like a comparison for something like that? I'm not sure, man. Now, what was I born for? Keep on loving me till I'm satisfied, till there's nothing left of me. So maybe it's about, maybe she has been turned into a vampire by someone and she needs to get that to continue to be taken from her, like she wants to be abused by this. I'm not sure. And this is the conclusion of my review of Egoist and Fallen. What do I think this track's about? I think it's got kind of spiritual overtones, like it could be about like vampires or demons or something like that. I'm wondering if the person has like maybe developed like instincts because they got bitten by like a vampire or something like that. And they're still wondering if they can be loved by that person who bit them or something like that. And their fragile body, you know, with the scent of blood, you know, can I still bring you back if that blood has left you or something like that? Maybe the other person feels sad for her. Maybe she needs them more than they need her, etc. I'm not sure. I'm sure that Ting will let me know, but that's my interpretation of the track. It's a little bit confusing for me. I think that you'd probably need to have watched the anime Psycho Pass to really understand what it's about, and I think that's okay. Some themes are very specific to the anime, and I think that's appropriate. because it kind of encourages you to learn more about the anime. When you've got a songs that could, I'm not saying this is, but it could have been written for the anime. That's kind of the point, is to kind of get you enticed into that world as well. But nonetheless, I think it's a really interesting story, like swallowing shards of glass and stuff like that, and brilliant eternities being glimpsed and stuff like that. Like, either this person's having like a trip of some kind, or like their world's been altered in some way that's completely irreparable, and they're kind of trying to figure out how to get that other person involved to try and find sort of nirvana within that. The vocals were great. The singer has clearly got good vocal technique, confident in her vocal range, head and chest voice. Had a similarity to her sort of her delivery for the entirety of the track, which I think made sense because a lot of stuff was going on in that arrangement. So like, I don't mind that we kept this sort of a tonal or dynamic consistency with that. It did sound like she was kind of calling out in parts there. It sounded like she was in a state of vulnerability and fragility there, which made sense with a lot of stuff going on there. Yeah, for the most part, I could understand how the vocals related to what I read in the lyrics, so that's good, And there were some interesting vocal melodies and harmonies there that harmonized well with the rest of the elements of the mix. And guys, I think the vocals were basically a success. The structure of the track, like 4 and a bit minutes, was well spent. We had like a little solo section in amongst like the verses and the choruses and stuff like that, and instrumental parts as well, and lots of different variations of like the guitar, synth, bass, drum parts alongside the vocals, or little bits of foley and other sort of sequencer synths, sub layers, and there's a lot of stuff going on in regards to the actual layering of the accompaniment arrangement. It's very full sounding. I mean, in addition to that, it was so chaotic sounding with those drums, particularly with the different sort of drum rolls and with sort of triplets and kind of the free flow kind of elements there. I do enjoy what we had going on with stuff in regards to, how do I say it? I do enjoy what we had going on in regards to the majority of the elements. Like the guitar part's really interesting to listen to, with the little sort of like power chordal bits and the squeaks and the simmers and everything like that. I think as well, with the pinches and everything like that, and the octave parts. The bass line was really supportive of the low end and stuff like that, and kept with the harmony for the most part there. The drums were a little bit too much to me at some points though. There's maybe a little bit too many kicks. There was definitely a groove instantiated there that it sort of formed alongside and flowed with, but I also feel as if it could have potentially gone with less. But I think maybe that was a deliberate compositional decision to illustrate the kind of madness and everything that was going on within this track, the tension, the drama with it. And it is a different way of doing the drums along to a track like this, which I think actually, in retrospect, is probably what they needed to do. I think this song would have had quite the effect if it didn't have that. So it makes sense. It's kind of like having a guitar tone on a guitar for like a really kind of sludgy, doomy sounding song, and it needs to have a sludgy, dooming sounding tone, and it might not sound good, quote unquote, but it's appropriate for the subject matter, for the vocals, etc. The pianos that we had there occasionally were really pretty sounding and articulated to mid to high end nicely. The synths there with the alarm sounds, or the other sort of mid to high sort of sprinkles, they filled in the frequency spectrum well and made it sound nice and full and gave it a sense of tension and air, and those EDM vibes were strong there. The sub-layer sequences that we had there added a bit of extra movement in that midsection, and the guitar solo at the end with the tappy bits and like the shred and the tritones. I think we might have gone with some sort of like technical, like tenor death metal kind of tones with the solos, with her kind of whispering and doing a different thing vocally. It was kind of nice, that contrast there between the two. I firmly believe that this is a track where if you understood the language natively, it'd probably be more kind of like impactful, but at the same time, and if you understood the anime, it'd be more impactful, but at the same time, I nonetheless could appreciate the performance on display here, and I think that there was not a note out of place. There was a great chemistry between the members of the band and the vocalist, and all in all, I'm very happy with that. There was lots of change with the different themes and sections there. We didn't sit too long on one musical idea. We'd have different instruments come in and out, and ultimately it was very interesting and well-paced. The recording, mixing, mastering, the studio production was fantastic. I'm really happy with how it sounded. From a commercials perspective, it was very professional. The vocals were nicely filtered and EQ'd there. The drums were very punchy, almost to a fault, but they managed to keep that under the reins. The guitars were nicely filtered and kind of airy when they needed to be, and kind of scratchy a little bit, but that made sense, I suppose, with the song that we were doing as well. the bass and the pianos and the synths and stuff like that were notched well within their own sort of parts of the frequency spectrum there. There were lots of things around the stereo field, so it was nice and wide there with lots of variations between where the guitar was panned, like one bit one side, one bit the next, etc., which is nice. There was constant movement, which kind of contrasted well with the continuity of the vocal style. And ultimately, I think that, you know, with that kept in mind, there was a bit of dynamic range in there. Not a hugely perceivable amount, but enough to make things kind of simmer down a bit, like in that lead section, which was kind of unusual because you'd think that would go up. Like it was louder, but then the vocals came down a little bit to kind of account for that. There was clear understanding of the importance of that. It was nice and loud without pumping, nice and loud without pumping. And the leveling of the various instruments in the mix was good. And this is effectively my review of EGOIST and Fallen. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go check out their various social medias and their YouTube page. And stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they hell more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SP Patrons review. Spiderhands out.